Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Tina and I make videos on lifestyle, home, and DIY projects every single week. And for today's video, I really wanted to share with you guys how I styled my shelf back here. So if you watched my last room makeover video, which by the way got over 50,000 views, which is like freaking amazing. So thank you guys all so much for watching that video. And if you haven't seen it yet, I will put it right up here. If you saw that video, you would have seen that I got this shelf for free from my aunt's house from the previous owner. And this piece definitely was the steal of a lifetime because I can't find anything else like it. People keep commenting where I got the shelf or if they can find something similar, but sadly I can't find one that is similar. So I absolutely love this shelf, but in that video I didn't really show how I styled the shelf because honestly I was struggling with styling it, so I didn't get to record it. But now that I have styled it before, I feel a lot more confident to teach you guys how to style a shelf, especially if it is your first time. And big disclaimer here, I am not an interior designer. I'm just a girl with a lot of stuff and a lot of plants, and I needed somewhere to display them. So this shelf really did come in handy to store all of my things. So if you want to learn some tips and tricks and see how I did this step by step, keep on watching. So before you even start styling your shelf, the first step that you want to do is establish the function of the shelf. And to figure out the function of the shelf, you really want to ask yourself, what is the purpose of the shelf? Is it to store books or to display some of your pictures and things that you've gotten in your travels? Or is it to house plants like I'm doing for this shelf? Or maybe it is as simple as having beautiful storage for your things. And honestly, when it comes to styling your shelves, it could be a combination of all of those things. Also, when it comes to function, you want to think about where the shelf is going in your space. So if it's in your dining room, you for sure want to have cookbooks and beautiful china and glassware out. But if it's going somewhere like in your living room, its main purpose might just be to look pretty and to be inviting. So also keep that in mind when you're thinking of the purpose of your shelf. The second thing that you want to focus on is the style of the shelf. So one of the best places to figure out your style is to go on Pinterest or Instagram and just pin a bunch of images of things that will fit your space or that you aspire your space to look like. With the bamboo and cane webbing on it, it really does fit into the vintage boho vibe, which is exactly what I'm going for in this bedroom. So I'm keeping the color palette of this pretty warm with some orange tones, yellows, and a lot of terracotta because I'm putting a lot of plants on here. Okay, so now that we have those two things down, you want to be sure to gather all of your things that you could put onto your shelf. And then you want to lay out all those items on the floor or on a table. So I'm going to show you what I have for my shelf. Alright, so here is my selection of items, and as I mentioned, it's going to be mostly a plant shelf just because I have so many of them, and vertical space is really key when you have a lot of plants. Otherwise, it's really just going to take over your whole home. So I have a few that would look really great on this shelf. And again, I'm also keeping in mind the style, so I have really beautiful boho-y decor. And then as we pan over here, it's more of the fun bits and bobs. So things like bookends and candles, mirrors, and then a few more functional things like some of my favorite books, as well as some journals and sketchbooks. I would have loved to add some frames and pictures to this collection, but sadly this shelf does not go up against the wall because I have a heater at the bottom. So I can't do that, but we will make do with everything that we have in here. And now let's go into step number 3. So now that you have everything that you've hoarded up for so long laid out, it is time to start styling your shelf. And the third step to styling your shelf is to make sure that it is balanced. So you want to think about the different colors, heights, and also types of items that you're sprinkling throughout your shelf, and make sure that it has your eye going up and down and side to side. You'll find that once you start placing items, things might not look right because it's looking too heavy on one side. So whether that be the same color that you have or the same type of item that takes up a lot of space, you really want to try and move it around and see where it works out best. And there are many tips and tricks that can help you out here. So one tip that I really rely on when styling a shelf is the rule of thirds or the rule of threes. I don't really know what the actual title of that is. I think it's the rule of threes. So the rule here is to have groupings of 3 or 5 because our eye really likes to look at odd numbers for some reason. So what I like to do is just to put things in groups of 3s, and when you're making your little groupings, take a look at the spacing between each one of the items as well as the heights. I think that's also really important when you're working with the rule of 3. When you're grouping 3 items together, don't forget that these can be smaller items that are grouped together within the 3 items. So what I like to do is to create mini vignettes within a vignette, and I know that kind of gets confusing, but once you start stacking things on top of each other or just grouping them in smaller groups, it really does become one item in itself. So I hope that is not too confusing here, but I will be sure to add an example. Another helpful tip for you to find balance is to really work on the heights within each shelf. So you can start by placing things that are more horizontal on your shelf first and then work vertically after that, and that way you can find a good balance between all of those items, and I find that to be really helpful as well. So once you have everything on your shelf, you want to take a step back and take a look at the whole entire thing, and then do the 4th step, which is to edit. And what I mean by editing is just to take a few things out, because a lot of times when you get into each shelf, you tend to overstuff it and just put way too much things on it, and it doesn't look as balanced when you're looking at it from far away. This tip is especially helpful when you're not only looking at the balance within each shelf itself, but also seeing how the shelves all work together when you're looking at it from top to bottom. And that's really all there is to it. It is a lot of curation and editing when it comes down to styling a beautiful shelf, and I hope that these tips helped you guys out. Alright, so I just finished styling this shelf, and here is a look at how it turned out. So tell me in the comments below how you guys think that my shelf turned out. I think it looks so beautiful. I think that I like it better than how I even styled it the first time, because now I can fit a few more plants on there. I hope that you found these tips to be helpful and that you had fun styling my shelf with me. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos every single week. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram if you guys haven't already. I love getting DMs from you guys, so I really appreciate it. And that is it for today's video. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!